You ever notice something? You can be a good man who works hard, who always does the right thing, but still no one will ever follow your lead. Your family can love you, but they never look to you. Your friends can even respect you, but they don't rise as a result of your presence. You are present in people's lives, however, your presence does not carry weight. It is not instrumental in their lives. But after today's video, that is no longer going to be the case. So congratulations that you stumbled upon this video. Not sure how that happened. Just kidding. But real talk, this is what this episode's going to be all about. Why you're still not a leader, even though your body's in check, you have reclaimed your identity, but for some reason that part is just missing in your life. And today we're going to do something about it. So without further ado, let's get in today's video. And we're back, baby. Yeah, I pulled out the whiteboard. Kind of feeling this. Playing around with the angles. Want to make sure you guys are happy. But the first thing I want you to understand before we get into all of this is that you are actually already leading, believe it or not. You're leading your family somewhere, you're leading your friends somewhere, and even yourself. You are constantly leading, whether you even realize it or not. Your problem isn't a lack of leadership as of this moment, but it's about where your leadership is putting people into certain directions, including yourself and the people around you. What direction are you actually leading in? Because you're already doing it regardless. You do it in your everyday life. And this is every single time you say yes to something that deep down you're like, I'm not really feeling this. That's you leading. You stay quiet when you'd rather speak up on something because you don't want to rock the boat. You're Mr. Nice Guy. And the reason why that happens is because you break your own standards when nobody else is watching. Meaning who you actually are when no one is around and there's no pressure. This is what your real identity is. This is what leadership and where leadership starts from. That's your foundation. That's your base. And if your base is non-existent, I don't care how high you want to build a building, it's going to collapse, just like your leadership. So with that said, we're going to erase this from last episode, right? Because we went into the body, the identity, and today is leadership. Because it's an ascension ladder. You cannot skip steps. A lot of people just like to jump up and try to skip steps. That's why hacks, as an example, are so powerful and such a powerful form of selling. That's why everyone sells you tactics and hacks, because you believe that you can follow the hacks. You tell yourself because they promise you can circumvent all this time. It starts day after day. That's how it works. But you have to have a solid foundation. And that's why today is about leadership. But what is leadership? And I'll tell you exactly what leadership is. It is what you demand from yourself when no one, and I put that in all caps on purpose, don't be shitting on my handwriting, is watching. This is where everything begins. I alluded to this earlier. You know what it's not? It's not motivational quotes. You being a man, and this is the part that self-improvement, fitness, and the manosphere has broken you in your mind more than your own weaknesses ever have. Because what they tell you is if you make X amount of dollars, then you'll become a man. Copy this routine and you'll be a high value male. And if you repeat these lines over and over and over again to yourself, then you'll actually start to believe it and then people will respect you. It's all about performance. Leadership is anti-performance. It's not a performance tactic. It's who you actually are. It's living in first person, living, breathing, and dying your creed. That's why when you say things, people don't take you seriously, or the words you say seriously, because you yourself don't take the words you say seriously. So how's anyone else going to take what you say seriously? This is a problem I had my entire life. I always wanted to be looked at as a leader because I knew I was capable of it. But the problem was when no one else was watching, to me, it was very performative. I would almost pick it up like a coat that I wanted to wear on days that it was cold, and I'd put it down when I didn't feel like it. Leadership is something you assume 24/7 every single day. That's why I train myself. I train every single day. It's not because I'm worried about, I might lose muscle. I don't give a shit. What it does is I know for me and my standard as an individual, it puts me into a certain mind frame and it calluses those soft spots of your mind to where I want the real voice with his hands on the wheel. Not the one that doesn't feel like it today, or it'd be more comfortable if I decided to take a step back. Leadership is showing up when no one else wants to show up. Leadership is standing up in the face of confrontation when everyone else is uncomfortable. Promise you, leadership comes in literally these 10 to 15 second time frames. It's doing what no one else wants to do in that moment, but people derive strength from you. That's why it's not performative in nature, because you're trying to perform as a leader versus embodying it. This is something you have to live by, and I'll tell you, this is the ultimate form of sovereignty. People talk about being free and sovereign. Sovereignty is something you have to work towards. Leadership is what you demand from yourself when no one is watching. That's what's so beautiful about leadership, is by the time you go to lead, it's not performative. This is just the way you live your life. And you're accidentally leading. Like I said, you're already leading right now. It's just not in the ways you want to lead. But you're constantly leading people. You're constantly leading yourself. The problem is it's nowhere you actually want to go. You aren't getting the best out of your people in your life because you don't inspire that thought of leadership. And people feel when you're pretending. Even if they can't put their finger on it, they feel it. Anyways, drive that one into your brain because this is the foundation of it all. You're about to become a world-class leader. A lot of people will tell me when I was growing up, and this isn't to posture, okay? They're like, man, you're a natural born leader. I didn't know what the hell that meant. In my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a leader. Everyone should just follow what I say. It's like, why would anyone follow what you have to say? 4-piece chicken McNobody. I'm speaking to myself because I'm being harsh on myself because it's my standard. I now understand what your standard actually gives you in your life. And your standard is the greatest way. By elevating your standard as a human, I'll tell you this right now, everything just starts to skyrocket because you're raising your floor effectively. You couldn't even go below a certain level. And that's why, if you remember from phase 1 and phase 2, episodes 1 and episode 2, what we started off with is the body. That is phase 1, because what the body does give you, and you have to do so naturally, anti-shortcuts, because what this is going to force you to do is actually devote yourself to a process that works, and that's the key difference. We're not disciplined for the sake of the ideal of discipline is devotion. I am devoted to this goal because I have to see it through. And this is going to cultivate your identity. But what happens afterwards is leadership. You are now perfectly set up to lead in the ways that you crave, because like I said, you're already leading. But what you want to do is you want to make sure you're leading in a way that people can take strength from. And I'm going to tell you this right now, and the reason I write this, I don't care how strong and jacked and suave you are, if your friends, your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your family, your people don't feel stronger with you around, this doesn't mean a damn thing. It means nothing. It's performative. And by you walking into a room with these two things now locked in, if you aren't inspiring that type of safety and that type of feel where it's like when he walks into a room, everything is just better, none of this shit means a damn thing, because this is a tool. Fitness in your body is what you deliver this through. It's the idea that means so much more to you than yourself. Your body just needs to be built up that way I can deliver better for the people around me. That's why I'm in this type of shape. It's not because, honestly, at this point, I don't care about the aesthetic. I really don't. The reason why I do this is because I know when I show up in shape and the things that I have to do to remain in that shape, it sharpens my mind in a way that I know is best for the people around me. And as a result of that, I know I'm cultivating an identity that's not through fitness, because fitness is not my personality. But what it does tell me is when I do the right things, good things happen. And it's required every single day. This is a choice I have to make every single day to be a winner. That is an identity. But from there, you have now built up value in yourself. Now you have built up actual value, not high value male bullshit, real value that now you can then give to others. This is the whole point. That's what leadership is. It's providing value to everybody else in your life. It doesn't just happen in business or within certain realms. You are a leader at all hours of the day. And there's not going to be every single day, you're not going to come in at a 10 out of 10, but you know what your standard is. And at a certain point, it's impossible for you to follow below that standard, because what happens is every time you show up, your standard begins to raise. And it becomes difficult to even play below this level. Where in the beginning, if you would have played at this level, when you started over here, you'd be like, this is unbelievable. But if you're here and you go here, you're going to be like, dude, this is just unacceptable. I can't even go below that if I tried, because you're raising the floor effectively. But what I want to share with you is a little bit about my story and how I got here when it comes to actually coming onto this stuff, because my life was one that on paper, I think people would be like, oh, that looks like a great life. And that's what I mean by a great life on paper. Technically, it checks off the boxes, but you realize that everyone's living their life for features. I have a good job, I'm in great shape, oh, I'm a bit charismatic. Yeah, dude, life is absolutely great. People like me, people look at me favorably, I get applauded, people give me compliments, all of it, and I still felt hollow. Even with my respectable life. In a respectable life, and I'm gonna put this in parentheses, on paper. Ready? In shape, great job. This was me, by the way, and this might be a lot of you. People thought highly of me. And this is the worst of it. I was always considered gifted and talented. Okay? I know it looks absolutely garbage. It looks like a 4-year-old drew that. Now with this puts you into a mind frame that's not one that's very healthy. Because every single one of these things you would look at and be like, wow, this is all I'd want to be happy. But you know how performative this is? When everything that you decide to do has nothing to do with yourself, but is this a decision that everyone would approve of? If I have enough of these features on my belt buckle, will I be looked at as good enough? And the reason why you need everyone to tell you that you are good enough is because you don't feel that way about yourself. And that's why you need compliments, basically like a drug addict that's just constantly looking to get a dopamine hit to be told I'm good enough, because that is the only thing that's keeping you hanging on by a thread in your own head. But what you realize is it doesn't matter because it's empty. It's the way people talk about hedonism. There's never going to be enough compliments to satisfy the emptiness and the lack of respect you have for yourself. And I know that because that was me. You know, I lived for people telling me, good job, you're doing great. Good job. Oh yeah, you're so talented. Oh yeah, you're special. And what this does is it puts you into a mind frame that is out of your own body. You're constantly in third person. When you're in conversations and you're talking with people, you're looking at yourself from a third person lens to say, do I look cool enough? Oh, did that look weird? Oh, how do I sound? How do I look right now? Versus just living in your own body as a leader. Leaders embody it. When I talk about performative, this is what I mean. Everything could be clicking for you. I erased everything. It doesn't matter because we're a blank canvas. This is exactly how it should be. You should erase everything and rebuild from the ground up. What's crazy is even with all the stuff I was sharing with you, I still wasn't someone that people were like, oh yeah, you got to listen to him. I'm going to take his, I'm going to take him at his word. They liked me. I was looked at favorably, but nobody trusted me with that. And for me, if I know I'm capable of leading correctly, then I sure as hell better see that through. You know, me telling myself, yeah, if I wanted to, I could do that. That's bullshit. That's just a lie. So many people love to tell themselves, yeah, if I wanted to, I know I could do it. Yeah, for sure. If I just dedicated myself, you don't know what it requires. It's that day-to-day process. And I'll tell you this as a leader. It's never, people don't quit because of a knockout blow. It won't happen. You want to know how they quit? It's the death by 1,000 cuts. This is why some people are built to be leaders and some people are not. Are you willing to weather the storm for everybody else? And it has to mean more to you. And that's why I love this ascension ladder, and that's why we have it inside of Crusadia. Which, by the way, the only way to join Crusadia, a lot of you guys ask me, is through the waitlist. And then from the waitlist, we give you instructions. We only open spots 72 hours every month, okay, just so you know. We do it that way to ensure high levels of success, right? I'm not just allowing anyone to come in because, oh, they'll give me money. No, it has to be done a very specific way, and this is me being a leader and a proper leader. Everyone that comes into the country of Crusadia is going to be successful. And my job is to give them every possible chance and every opportunity to be successful to where it's actually difficult to lose. And that's why I do it this way. Private cohorts, everyone's coming in, everyone can lean in on one another, everyone's coming in at the same exact spot, bada boom, bada bang. But the reason why I love the way this looks and the reason why this is a perfect thing is because this isn't meant for everybody. This is the outlier. You as a leader are an outlier because there aren't that many leaders around. It is not normal to be a leader. That's why people want to be leaders, because it is scarce in resource, in supply. There's not that many leaders. Good leaders, I should say, because we're all leaders in our own regard, but great leaders, it doesn't exist. And because leadership legitimately just comes down to caring about everybody else ahead of you. That's all it is. And that's what's so beautiful about this, is because this process will cultivate an identity, but it's possible your identity isn't one that wants to be of a leader. In which case, at least you know. Maybe you're like, dude, this is too much for me. I'd rather just kind of be a guy who's kind of a star player or whatever in my own regard, and I'm kind of selfish. It doesn't mean you're selfish as a human being, but it's tough to care more than you think you should. That's why some people are meant to be leaders. I know everyone on my page, truthfully, is a natural born leader. That's why my videos hit with them, is because I speak from a place that's just like, dude, I don't give a shit about myself. I do. I give a shit about myself because I know I'm capable of delivering so much with what I have, my abilities, my skill, right? My body, my energy. But that's all it is. I'm just a vessel. I almost forget about my own well-being a lot of times because I don't think about how I feel. It's about everybody else. That's what keeps me going. Because for me, just doing things from a selfish perspective, it runs its course and then life just becomes boring. But for me to be able to deliver for everyone, everybody else on earth, and this is just different people. It doesn't matter. I want to do it for infinite amount of people, not just for my family, but for people that are on this page. Everyone that's inside Crusadia knows this. I'll die for my people. And you can't fake that. You know, like there is nothing you can do to fake that. You could try to pretend or try to come up with the right words, but you can feel it through energy. But it has to mean more to you than yourself. That's what leadership's all about. That's what makes a great leader is who cares about me? This is about the mission. This is about the idea. My job is to get everyone around me exactly where they want to be for their life. Not my job to tell them what success is, but whatever they see as success, giving them every opportunity to see that through. All leadership is the standard you enforce with yourself when no one else is around. And by proxy, you're going to lead everybody else accidentally. It's a side effect of the process because you don't lead from the back, you lead from the front. You should be on the front line. You should be the one storming into battle because you have to show everyone around you that I'm willing to do this for us. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to inspire other leaders. That's like, I'm taking the front line. I'm taking the front line. Little do you know, now we have hundreds of people on the front line. And now look at our team. And that's what's happening inside Crusadia. This is proof in the pudding. It's giving more than even makes sense. Leadership is such a spiritual thing. And the problem is everyone lacks spirit nowadays. Everybody. They lack spirit because they're operating from this and not from this. That's why I can roll up out of bed on 3 hours of sleep. A lot of people tell me, dude, do you sleep? Barely. And I'm still lapping everyone else around me because I'm operating from something so much different, and that's spiritual. I operate from the divine. I'm just a vessel, and then I'm probably going to die eventually, and then hopefully I can say I left it all out on the line. That's the difference between leaders. You have a guy like Michael Jordan, for example, that everyone obviously, you know, MJ's better than LeBron. I don't care what anybody says, okay? Just call that what it is. But that's why he's such a psycho, is because that was his standard. And if you're going to be on his team, everyone has to abide by that standard. And there's different leadership styles. But his goal in his head, this is the best way I know how to get the best out of everyone else around me. It may not be your style, it may not be my style, but it doesn't matter. He operated from the spirit of, I'm going to get the best out of everybody on this ball club, and we're going to win championships. That's all it is. Let me double check to make sure. With that said, what I'm going to share with you is 3 levels of leadership. And what's great is you really only need to focus on one, but this is how you can be a little bit more aware. There's level 1, which is self. There's number 2, which is environment. And then there's number 3, direction. No. Self is what we've been speaking on. It's what you do when you don't feel like it. It's showing up to the gym when you don't feel like it. It's making that phone call you don't feel like making the piece of content, for example, when you don't feel like making that piece of content. Creating a sales asset that you don't feel like it. Creating this, it doesn't matter. It's doing anything you don't feel like doing and doing it regardless. This is what it looks like. Then you have environment, which, geez, that is spelled awful. Nonetheless, it's the way you can change a temperature in the room surely from your presence. And this isn't something to be mindful of. This is what people, and the reason I wrote this out is because this is what people are trying to optimize for, these two, without having this down. You actually don't even have to think about 2 and 3 when you master this, because it all comes downhill. Like a waterfall, literally. Just like our system inside Crusadia, with the 5 different ascension ladders. No different. It's a waterfall that all stems from the self. Because then when it comes to directional is essentially what you look at as calling the shots. Saying like, we're gonna go there and this is what we're gonna do, and people trusting you. But the difference is you want to have that, but you aren't willing to go first. And that's why self is where it all starts. And it's the only thing you need to focus on, because these other things right over here are going to happen on accident, because you are always going to be willing to go first, because you know that that is the only way to lead, is to lead by example. Leadership isn't talking. Leadership is straight up doing. So by the time you open your mouth, it's just a way of being. And you're like, how does he come up with these words? You don't have to come up with anything. You live the creed. This is where you live 24/7 until you pass out at the end of the night, wake up, and you get right back on the saddle. And that's why I wanted to explain this to you. And so what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to give you a challenge, because this is for the real leaders. If you actually are watching this and you're like, dude, you know something? It's game time. It's absolutely game time. Here's your next challenge. And I'll even put challenge on here, mainly because I really like writing on this board. And plus I like the noise, you know, like the noise hits, you know, let's not lie to ourselves. In Crusadia coded fashion, actually, what we call this is your initiation. This is your initiation. We have a lot of initiation stuff. It's fun. We want to make it fun and we want to make it enjoyable. A lot of people think making something of yourself has to be this process where you grit your face. I laugh throughout most of my day because doing the hard work doesn't make it any less hard if I'm smiling. It doesn't matter. I can smile and still do the work. It's not complex. Number one invisible standard. Number two, one honest convo. Number three, one act of direction. One invisible standard. I want you to look at how you operate, and I want you to elevate the standard on one thing. Not two, not three, not seven. One thing. You're not going to announce it. You're not going to put it on the story saying grind mode starts now. None of that. You're going to do it in quiet for yourself, not performing, just doing. One thing, and ideally, it should be something that you think is going to affect your life in a really positive way, not just for the sake of doing it, but nonetheless, doesn't matter, dealer's choice, right? One invisible standard, I want you to elevate it, to give more than you even think makes sense, to being like, you know something? Could be at the gym, if you have work or whatever, it's like, you know, this one thing that I have to do, technically, I'm just gonna over deliver. That's what I want you to do. That's what I mean by one invisible standard. Number two, one honest conversation. What I want you to do is say something, ideally to someone that you've been avoiding. Anything, and I think we all have that where it's like, I've been avoiding this conversation. I've been avoiding this confrontation with this person or this thing. It could be a job, whatever. I want you to confront it and just simply state. I want you to have that type of temperament to be able to go in and say, you know something, I'm just gonna have the honest conversation I think is gonna do us both better. The conversation I think both of us have been probably avoiding that I think we need to have, and it's gonna be best for us in the future. I'm willing to be the bad guy up front. That's the type of conversation I'm talking about. The bad guy in the moment, but the good guy later on. Basically saying, hey, I really appreciate you doing that. I can imagine that was a difficult thing to do. And then one act of direction, I want you to plan an activity, ideally with your family or one of your friends, and I want you to organize it. I want you to make it as incredible as possible for them. Doesn't have to be a vacation. It could just be a 2-hour night out somewhere or a dinner, organizing reservations and just saying, I have everything ready. I want you to take care of everything to where they just come in and they get to enjoy themselves. That's it. These are your 3 challenges. This is your initiation. You actually want to do this. This is what it looks like. It starts, by the way, notice 111 because life, anything that you want starts one step at a time, where people are trying to skip to step 5. One step at a time, be where your feet are at. And if you do that every single day, you're going to look up 3 months from now, 6 months from now and be like, holy shit, my life has switched on a dime. That's why people inside Crusadia ask them where they're at just 3 months ago from now, and they're like, I don't even know what life was like prior. Because that's how it starts. You wake up and choose to be a winner. You wake up to choose to do the right things. And every day and every decision you make, you have to make the right decision or the one that you believe is the right decision. It hardly matters if you're even right. But if you're right with this and you're aligned with this, you're going to win. And here's what I want you to understand before we move into phase 4, because that's phase 3, which is leadership. Leadership is what turns your internal work that you are doing into the external. That's what makes this so damn cool. All the things that you want are going to stem from the internal and they're going to manifest to the external. That's how it works. It's a side effect of who you actually become. And value is all money represents. Value, money, equals exchange of value. That's all it is. And that is why in phase 4, we're going to talk about cash flow, because you as a leader are now valuable. And if money is just an exchange of value, probably makes the money-making equation a lot easier than trying to hack the system for dollars in your bank account versus just becoming that guy. I don't care if the money system is in pesos or in textiles. I don't care. It doesn't matter. That's anti-fragile. I don't need to try to hack the system for dollars. If you're naturally a valuable human being, it won't matter what the money system does or how fucked up it is. It doesn't matter. And that is why in the next episode, I'm going to show you phase 4, which is going to go into cash flow. Because the way that this works is we started with body with episode 1, and then we went into identity, episode 2, which is meeting yourself. This is becoming your authentic version of yourself. Number 3 is allowing that authenticity to shine through leadership, because now you're inspiring. And then phase 4 is cash flow. Cash flow. And what's cool about this is I'm going to explain to you why people that you work harder than make more money than you, people that you're more talented have more money than you, and why it feels like money avoids you even though you feel like you are capable. Because all it is it's unlocked. Once you actually go through this process, it becomes a lot easier to understand how to actually grab cash flow and to have money for yourself. Because you have built yourself up into a sovereign individual, but let's be real. We want to make sure that our life is that one of sovereignty. And what we're gonna do is help you fix this, because you're gonna understand leadership, which you now have an understanding of, and how to deliver that leadership in a way that gives you cash flow, in a way that isn't compromising your soul for the sake of dollars. It'll all be aligned. You're actually going to have money for reasons that you know, you're like, oh, I have this for a very specific reason. I don't feel like I did anything, and that's what everyone's trying to do. That's why you see a bunch of fitness guys trying to get a bunch of gambling contracts and selling their souls. I refuse to sell my soul. I'm a natural outlier. I would never do anything to neuter my spirit ever in my life. And you best damn believe that cash flow is absolutely congruent with that. So before you step into episode 4 of cash flow, I want you to get on the Crusadia waitlist down below. I mentioned it earlier. Get on that waitlist. With that, by the way, in addition, it's the only way you're allowed inside Crusadia. No waitlist, no possibility to enter. That's just how it is. I've already explained to you why that's the case. But take it a step further. You're going to get the superhero program, the Jack Mobility Initiation Guide. You're going to get the Outliers First Strike, which is like a private module course that I actually put together. This is just to get you guys ready to go. So by the time we open spots, you're hitting the ground running, and that way you're off into a sprint. It's a primer, but waitlist is down below. Sign up to that, and then that way you get updated on when we actually drop spots. You can join. I actually do it's not something I like to advertise, but I do a live Q&A for basically a Fireplace Friday talk where we just, I break down everything you want to, but we just have a conversation with everyone inside Crusadia as well. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's an absolute blast. But nonetheless, in episode 4, cash flow, what we're going to do is explain to you why money has eluded you, how to actually grab it, how to get it, how to have an abundance mindset with it, and that you've been making this a lot more difficult than it needed to be. And it's just about simply doing the right things. No difference in how we get big biceps, right? No different. Same exact thing. You do the right things. It takes time to learn, but we can speed that up. And that is exactly what we're going to do in the next episode. So with that said, I'll see you in phase 4, episode 4, cash flow. See you soon, my brothers.